that you face both individually and as a community of mission-based local lenders is the same challenge, quite frankly, that Citibank and other large banks are facing today, which is, underwriting a Main Street small business where your average loan size might be $25,000, $50,000 is incredibly challenging. And it's not really a credit challenge. It's a process challenge, which is how can you do it efficiently enough so you can actually reduce your costs to serve that community well and serve that community in a sustainable fashion. And so, what I love about technology is if you were to build a platform at scale that worked, it would be the exact same platform that a Bank of America or a Chase or a Citi would have. And so you think about what that would unleash, because often I think when you're smaller, and that can be as a small startup, the way OnDeck started, or it can be as a small community lender, you can always find someone bigger, and that can either be a challenge or an opportunity. And I think if you use technology, it's a big opportunity, because in many ways, being small helps you be incredibly nimble. And technology doesn't need to just be built, it needs to be improved upon, it needs to be maintained, it needs to be innovated upon. So, I think that what we've been trying to do is focus incredibly on how can we most efficiently use technology to make an incredibly robust, incredibly accurate lending decision for small businesses across America. That's manifested itself in the OnDeck score, and we think that can unleash opportunity for all kinds of lenders. As we've been partnering with AEO and the Tilt Forward campaign, we are trying to use our platform as a foundation, not the only solution, but a foundation that you as a community could build upon. And I think that when you think about the challenge, why are we here? We've talked about 8,000 loan declines a day. For a second, think about what would happen is if that hit the table, so to speak, in the middle of this room. How would you solve that? Right now, you can talk about we want those declines, we need to do more, but the reality is there's not a solution that could handle 8,000 decline applications today for you as a community. And I think that that's what collectively, using technology as a foundation, understanding that technology is only part of the solution. There's areas where you need to be high touch, and there's ways that you can leverage core strengths that we all have collectively, where you could actually build a solution, and at some point in the near future, I don't know whether that's 6 months or 12 months, you could actually go to Treasury and say, hey, we're ready. Give us the 8,000 declines a day, and we're going to serve them. And I think that would be incredibly powerful for both the CDFI community, but as well for small businesses across the country.
Good morning, everyone. This is a tough act to follow, trying to say something smart after everything that you've heard already. I think that technology is an enabler, and scale is a choice. If those are two thoughts that I would like to transfer to the audience today. 10 years ago, many of the players, or the big players that we hear, they were not present. They were in a primordial soup. I don't know if you like to drink soup, but they were taking form, taking shape. MMS, OnDeck, Progreso, and EasyPay, Opportunity Fund, three organizations that I have been related to, and I will speak to what I've seen during these years. So technology was has been enabling this organization to service other organizations, service other MFIs, make loans out of supermarkets, and collect payments through credit card merchant services. This helped the three organizations do their work faster, better, and serve more clients. But again, scale needs commitment and needs action, right? And you need to follow on that because the common theme in the three organizations is that implementing technology is not easy. And many organizations may fall into the trap of me too and try to do it themselves. And And I would say that if you have proven models that work, it makes sense to support them and make them grow and find ways to make them grow, right? And maybe it's not about MMS, or it's not about Action Texas, to say an example, or EasyPay, but it's about how we can build something bigger than ourselves and well, deliver the funds or deliver capital to those that need it the most. Another common theme on the three initiatives or programs that I worked for has been that all of them had that common goal of reducing the transaction costs, right, and help the organization be sustainable over time. So sustainability, or self-sufficiency, as we call in the community development world, helps achieve scale. I mean, you cannot scale a program that is not self-sustainable, or is it needs a lot of subsidy. I mean, subsidy is okay, and you can choose that. Eventually, you will not achieve the scale for profits that don't depend on the luxury of grants to grow. So some victories, early victories on that, on those three initiatives, I would say the market, you were very receptive to them. So when we talked about these ideas with you all, I mean, they were, very welcome, and they make sense. It's getting traction on them has been the challenge. We took risks. Back with the MMS, we were able to prove concepts. So the concept of originating a loan, underwriting, and then channeling capital. We did all three. With Progreso, disbursing 20,000 loans a month out of supermarkets, that's very powerful as well. And now with Opportunity Fund, we are fine-tuning the EasyPay product that will eventually, if we are successful, we'll be able to offer to other CDFIs as well. So last word on this is technology is an enabler because it allows us to do a lot of work, but achieving scale is an option. You can choose not to. And then you can choose to be a smaller organization with a higher impact, and that's fine. But we've been talking a lot about achieving scale. So I would say that the last thought on this is we need to take action on that.
Well, Gustavo, you're right. It's tough to follow this crowd. So we'll start with you for the next question and put Rohit in the hot seat of coming up with something clever at the end. But you brought up a point I'd like to expand upon, which is that one of the concerns, and certainly this came out in some of the research that Ira's team has done, is around pricing and sustainability. And I think you brought up the point that if you build a program or you build a product that has to be subsidized, that program is going to have some limitations in its ability to scale simply because subsidies are limited. So I'd like you to share with the group your views on the role of technology, the role of data to help match risk type or sales channel or product to operate sustainably, or as we go down the line, to operate profitably by looking at a loan level and know what you're signing up for, so then you can appropriately subsidize as needed or appropriately adjust pricing as needed.
That's a tough question to start with.
You wanted to go first.
If you commit to scaling and investment in technologies, you need to pay that back, right? To recover that investment. And for-profits can speak, much more to that because they have a much sophisticated use of technology than what we have here. But pricing is a mix of art and science. You have to have the science right, and then it's a lot of art to be able to deliver a fair price. You can choose to deliver a loan at a 10% interest rate, subsidize it, and be relevant. And you can still deliver a loan at 18, 20%, and be a valid alternative to another loan, another product out there for 100%. So in terms of pricing, we can speak, lengths times, but there's no right answer for that, I feel. I would support the idea of pricing it in such a way that your organization is sustainable, that those that choose to depend on subsidy, that subsidy is limited or decreasing over time, so that you can build your program. Thinking, for example, of the idea of evolution and a primordial soup that I mentioned. We evolve, right? And if we depend entirely on subsidies, and a lot in subsidies, it takes just one change in the environment to wipe us out. Think how many of you would not be here if the CFI fund does not exist. So I think that in order to continue, be relevant, and in the long run, we should think about those questions.
I think the subsidy question and conversation is interesting and important, and I think if you look at the study that Ira and team did, I think it really sheds a good light on subsidy, and I would break the subsidy into two parts. I would think about subsidies that are honestly supporting subscale operations, where you're all doing things independently. And I mentioned this yesterday on a different panel, but if you all think that your credit policies are secret sauce and that it's all your unique decision, and that's just quite frankly not the case. You're trying to make a fundamentally sound credit decision, which is the same thing that any lender is doing, and there's a lot of commonality there. And so I think when you think about subsidies that are supporting inefficient subscale operations, I think what the study sheds light on and is that that's holding the community back from solving a bigger problem. And so I think that that's where technology has a really important role to play in if you can band together or if you can access technology, whether it's coming from the private sector or the public sector. Honestly, I don't think it's important. I think it's important that you find technology, use it there. And then I think when you talk about subsidies, it's much more mission-based. If you understand what your costs are and you're using an efficient way to originate that loan, but you decide that because of a mission or social impact that you want to price the loan down, that's okay. That's good. And that's where I think the subsidy and the grant money should go, because to Gustavo's point, if that went away, then all you would have to do is you would basically have to say, okay, unfortunately, small business owner, we can't pass on a 5% interest savings to you because we don't have the subsidy, but we can continue to serve you because our operations are efficient.